So there are a lot of options.
You know, I noticed that in the Shulgin's books, they have recommended dosages for a lot of these I call them the alphabet soup drugs because I can't keep up with all the names. But it seems to me generally you follow those recommendations; they're about right. But I've noticed that with LSD, there's sort of a wide range. I know, like Gary Fisher's work, he was doing really high-dose LSD. Yeah. And I've heard that somewhere, I think in one of your books, you mentioned Al Hubbard had something he called a high-dose session. Do you have any feelings about the high-dose LSD versus the low-dose LSD? And I'll ask both of you that, actually.
I have a lot. Well, Hubbard knew that I was pretty fragile. And I went to Vancouver and to take LSD there. It was I think it was in April. And he had a companion that he liked to have sit with me also, the two of them had worked together quite a bit, and the other man was a younger person, and he'd learned quite a bit with LSD. So my first LSD experience, I was sitting with the two of them. And, of course, that first experience was absolutely remarkable, just covered in an awful lot of ground. That original dose was only 2/3 of an ampule. A full ampule would be 100 micrograms.
Okay.
And so it was a small amount, but I tell you, it was a powerful experience. Are you interested in getting more detail on that?
Keep going on that.
Okay. On the day I was to have LSD, Hubbard took me to a Monsignor whom he'd formed a great friendship with. And the Monsignor was quite interested in LSD.
Now, you're Jewish, and he took you to a Monsignor. Now, how did you feel about that?
Well, I'll bring that up as time goes on.
Okay.
So I met him, and he blessed me, and he said at noon he would offer support of some kind that he was willing to support. Well, I'd be right in the middle of it then. And so he was a very wonderful person. I really enjoyed getting acquainted with him. But then we went to Hubbard's home, and that's where I ingested it. When I first took it, after it began to act, I began to realize that, I was really feeling very good and very happy. And then it just occurred to me that all of these monks really didn't understand what it was all about. And I sort of laughed and said, gosh, they don't have any idea what the real reality is about these things. After a while, the thing took a turn, and I began to get really uncomfortable and really hurting. And they asked me to lie down, and I lay down for quite a while. And then I sat up, and...
was there music going?
Yeah, they did have music, and I enjoyed the music. But I was getting more deeply into it, and Hubbard handed me a picture, which is very, very important to him, well, and for me, too, once I learned about it. But there is a picture of Christ, and you look at it, and you look at his eyes, and they're open. And if you keep looking, they close. So the eyes open and close. And at this point, it was very, very clear, extremely clear. And when I saw the eyes close, I thought, oh my God, something's wrong with me. He doesn't want to look at me.
That's kind of heavy duty.
It was, believe me. And then, but I kept watching, and then all of a sudden, I began to see other people. And at first, it was just starting to see a few here and there, and then it began to speed up, and began to pour out more and more, and I began to see people from all over the world, all kinds of people. I saw pirates, I saw Chinamen, I saw young kids and older people, and just going as fast as you could possibly follow. It just
the parade of life.
The parade. It was exactly that. That's well said. The complete parade of life. And I looked at Christ, and then I realized this is every man.
Wow, coming from your heritage, that's a pretty profound experience.
That's right.
Was Hubbard a Catholic, or how did he get?
Yeah, he was Catholic.
Okay. So that's how he had the connection with the Pionieers. So, and that's just on like 66 micrograms of LSD.
Right. Well, at a later stage, I was getting very, very uncomfortable, and really was hurting quite a bit, and they had me lie down to see if I could work my way through, and it was really very difficult. So they had me sit up, and they were asking me questions. What about my mother? What about my father? And did they do anything wrong to me? And so on. And it didn't seem to be it. And then all of a sudden, I went into a horrible, horrible, painful thing. And what it seemed to me like is that I was in the womb, and I was trying to get born, and my mother can't stand pain, and they gave her so much ether that she went completely asleep, so the whole action stopped, and I was stuck there and hung there in horrible, horrible pain. And then all of a sudden, I finally broke through, and I shot out, and I screamed. They couldn't wait for me to be born. But that was a great relief coming out of that. Actually, I smelled ether so strongly. It's like they'd taken a wad of cotton with ether and hold it over my nose. That's how I experienced it, that real.
Wow.
So after that, things began to get better and easier.
I would hope so, or you'd never do it again.
So it kept getting better and better, and I know that there was, at one time, I felt very guilty that I'd been doing things wrong, and I was being punished somehow. And then all of a sudden that broke out, and all of that wasn't necessary. I was able to rise above that and feel great. So that's pretty much the story.
How long did that session last, do you think?
It was at least 6 to 8 hours.
So, and then after it was over, you guys just kind of talked and...
We kind of hung around for a while, and dear old... His wife, Rita, she is a remarkable person. We got to be the very best of friends. And of course, she had a nice dinner prepared for us and everything. And so all went well.
It wasn't so painful that you didn't ever want to do it again.
Oh no, the benefits were so great. I discovered all kinds of things. It was a complete win as far as I was concerned. There were these difficult areas, but that's the stuff that was in me, and just you have to find a way to resolve it. But you have to be willing to resolve it. And we had a lot of experience later, where people just weren't willing to get into those places, and just let them go and try it again another time. And each time, people face it more completely until finally they break through. And once you get that breakthrough, then you realize that there's an enormous accomplishment that's enormously worthwhile.
Do you have anything you want to add right here? Or?
Well, this might be a little bit on the negative side because Myron's birth experience has always come up in most of his LSD experiences. And even in some of the others, he would always get back in. It's kind of the doldrums, I call it. And this, although you haven't done it for many